走的时候，让这个商会给你那个看一下，validate一下，就免费了。
那我就把那停车卡拿过来。
那个卡你拿过来，然后他给你弄一下就可以了。
好，谢谢。
没事，告诉你。
开到位了。
不懂。帮大家想的在这里停车。
今天是假，我看了一下，就是今天是假。
那我现在还有几？是不是马上开始了？
还没，您去。
2点半。
2点半啊。
好，我想咨询一下，就是你的。
行啊。
就是您看什么时候方便约个时间？那个就是要付费多少钱？
你做什么？做什么的英语？
我不知道，我现在是学生。我现在是学生。
还有就是明白是哪个，然后再做哪个是吧？
对，现在我们都走那个评分的。
走那个 OMT 是吧？
对，就是叫硕博项目。
硕博项目分有点高。
54是吧
？54，最近一次53。
我感觉它怎么还要涨呢？
这个趋势感觉一直都不太好下来。
就是我感觉它能到56、57呢。
很有可能是要拦不住。
走小镇呢？
走小镇的话，就得找工作呀。就是咱们今天最主要目的就是帮助大家找好工作之后，这件事情就好办。你找到工作了，给这当地社区的贡献，人家就欢迎你。你到这儿说，反正我也没有工作，我就那种他不欢迎你。
好，我去趟西城。
你知道在哪儿？
我知道。
你家小孩呢？
还没放学呢。
得去接吗？
不用，那个校车到的。
校车就到，他自己就回家了，自己有钥匙。
对，然后邻居在呢。
给安排好了。那就好。他们几点放学？
老大2点半，然后那个不到3点就到家了。老二3点就放学了，可是10分钟这路程，校车得载着他得走半个小时，将近40分钟。绕路得送别的学生。
不过校车也安全。
还行。老二说：“爸爸开车10分钟，我坐校车得40分钟，我都睡了好几觉了还不到。”
远了点儿。
是
绕，还得把大家都送回去。
是吗？那天把水杯给掉在校车上了。
然后找到没？
找到了。
还好。
那行。
现在几点了？
现在2点。
2点是吧？
对。
哎呀，这人这都，我告诉你医生，那个有过来就是想注册来的就满了。注册25个全满了，都没有地儿了。
所以说就是说要来必须得来，要不然占着位置，有人想来不了。
对，别人就来不了了。然后昨天2人说我能不能明天就去，直接去。我说，因为这个屋子它人数是有一定要求的，有防火要求，它可不可以多？
对，是。
所以得有限制。然后好多人跟我说，我说我没办法保证，因为万一人多呢。
对，你发的通知是2点到4点半，对吧？
对，是2点到2点半是签到。
我们就怕迟到，我就早点到。
早点到歇一歇，
对，
一本
可以聊一聊。
对。
我们那个联邦自雇的，我们3个人都是同时办嘛，那2个人已经下来了。
你们这还没事吗？
我这个比他们晚1个月，估计也差不多快了。我想
这个是好事，我跟你讲。
对，但是我就不确定他会不会中间出问题，我就害怕。
不要再说，不要
希望是顺利。
对，一定能顺利。对，他们俩都行，你这有啥不行的？
对，他们2个人已经预贴签了，已经收到那个信了。
那就好。那样来说说和他是就是在我也跟人说的话。
OK。
你的手机在那儿呢？
对，我的手机在这儿呢。要来不了的，我觉得能来。
对，可以提前告诉他们。
对。
你们也是从北京过来的？
对，
听可能性。
您也是北京？
我们之前一直在北京住，然后后面孩子上学搬到天津，在天津待了差不多将近2年吧。
我听那个，我师兄还在那个就是瑞典还是瑞士在那上班。
比利时。
比利时对对对，因为没听清楚他。
我们俩刚结婚，在那待了1-2年，然后回去，一边拿什么然后没这个。
对。
这个学法语。
那师兄学了吗？
我们俩一起学，他比我学得快，因为他英文好。
您也是在那边是吗？
我们俩结婚的时候在那边待了1年。
哇塞，那个不好拿，是不是？
太好拿。你说啥？
现在我感觉就是像咱们还算比较新。
其实我后面就入学都不太好入学了。
对，那个
签证也不太好。
多大的教授在抱怨说生源少了20%？
你看就是多大的对。
这毕业这几个多人
，60多人，
那确实少了，
少很
少
多。
不是还要少吗？还要少，比今年要少多少？10%学签。我看他们发的那个。
还要少，已经砍了30%。
有，我听那个。
我看他们发那个信息。
我听那个加拿大政府是哪个官员说的，我没听太懂。他的意思是，硕士和博士也都需要省那个给名额给配额是吗？
还有这个政策吗？
我不太清楚。
我那天看他们发的这个群里面。
我听他说英语，我没听太懂。
我看的是本科
很早就有。
那谁，这个。
对，他是那个，你第一次申学签的时候，硕士跟博士要那个 PAL 的信。
现在还要了是吗？
现在开始。
哇塞，那这简直是噩梦了。
就是 PAL 的信，其实
那是自己去申请吗？
应该是你跟省里去申请的，这个我不太清楚，应该是跟 RCC 的那个人。
我认为是，比方说这个省里边给这个大学就这么多名额，或者一共就这么多名额，谁大学申请，然后不是个人去申请，那很麻烦。
那这简直是就是加了好大一个难度。
这个更明确了，你需要做什么做什么。但是，
哎呀，心都痛。
他的意思就是说，省里边控制整个数量。
是省里他会有每个大学就是会给你安排，就是说，你看你是不是合格的那种。就是大学他认可的，你认可的时候来留学。
那其实这样对你以后留学之后会有好处，你避免野鸡大学。
对，他就是不能转签的。
不能转签。
就是比如说我拿着你的大学，然后去办个签证，然后来了之后去上你这个大学。
原来没这么严格是吧？
原来是可以的，像我在本科的时候就可以。这么转。
现在我们这一届呢，就是我们现在拿到的还可以转吗？
你还可以转，
因为我的同学就转了 Tailoring。
应该是11月之后，应该他们说
11月的那个才生效的。
反正就是越来越难。
那这学生会越来越少。
要求会越来越高。
我天。
就以前毕业你工签拿毕业信就去申请了，现在你还要个
4个月。
现在还不需要，11月
对。
对。
那你已经
我已经申了，他给了个临时的6个月的。他给了个临时的，就是你申请应该是电脑给的，然后申请第2天就给你了，就给你一个这个就是没有任何限制，你可以在任何地点、任何物体、任何工种都可以。
微信你在这儿发吗？你在这儿发。
等于就是6个月之内开始审理那个行李不行。
那他会说您这些我这些都越来越严。
他不是要4个6吗
？4个6最好的就不会了是吧？
这就是加了这一条。
那行。
其实加的也不算过分，你要读，你来这还高吗？
这来的是。
也不过分，这个词用的很好，也不太过分。
入池反正也要CLB7。
是，你否则也入池不了。
对，其实人家没怎么加油，没算
没有提高标准，说白了，
对，就
比较明确标准了。
对，
这个意思。
那这靴子算落地了吗？这个靴子算落地了吗？就是说还会出
幺蛾子吗？
我不好这么说，但是
不知道，现在只是初步的一些政策，日后这不还在这说还有细节要公布吗？那什么哪些算是紧缺的专业，还要再公布呢，还在讨论呢。
反正配偶工签卡了一大半了。
刚是。
你得要那个012的 tier not tier。
硕博的是没卡是吗？
那是学签的。
学签没卡，
学签没卡，但是你必须是16个月以上的研究生项目，我可以申配偶工签。
但是配偶工签还有职业限制，那意思？
没，是这个是学签的，然后工签类别的呢，就是 NOC 012。
不是，就比方说，这个我是留学生，我爱人他申请那个配偶工签，对这个对配偶工签有要求。
这个没有要求，就是只是要求你上的这个课是16个月以上的研究生课程，这个是可以申请的。
那他那个有要求是什么呢？就是
在你毕业了以后，你不是转成工签了吗？你转成工签了，你必须要是紧缺职业，要不然是 NOC 012，你这样才能给你配偶续工签。要不然的话续不了。
那就是上完学之后又卡一步。
就是有卡一步，上完学卡。
因为卡了配偶了。
对，就卡配偶。
天哪！
就是您要是有配偶的话，最好您就赶紧是找那些什么紧缺的行业，要不然就是 NOC 012包括什么呢？就是什么像 manager 啊这种的比较骨干的东西。就是你要是
不是你刚毕业你进的 manager， 那有点不好找啊，对吧？
对呀，
看这谁让你当 manager， 你来，你给那个音出来，我干的不错了。
那所以你就得要去找那些紧缺行业，紧缺行业还没公布，可能会在11月左右。
对
公布之后就会影响配偶，是吧？
对，就是比如说你是 truck driver， 这个应该是没什么问题，我感觉是问题。
他是那个紧缺行业里边一个。
那我也赶紧学一个去。
不是，你先学个本儿，哪怕你不开，是不是？truck driver 那个 G 不行吗
？G 我不太清楚，但是那种小万斯那个 G 上看，
对。
好像你得看那个 G 底下是几颗星，1年1颗星，然后最多是5颗星。
人家中国的驾龄好像他也认。
这不一定
是吗？
这得好像回去得开什么公证啊、翻译件儿。
他现在他就认，我是09年拿的证，他只认我从15年开始认，我不知道为什么。因为我15年换的第一次换的证。
那是按照
正对
那个啥上算的。
我不知道他算不算。
那您这个已经考过 G 了吗？
没有，我现在是 G2，我 G 前面刚考又挂了。
我跟你说一个。
就是那个是吧？不是，
你到那儿就说我要一个能考，
其他都没问题，
就是难考官
太不找信息。
那个啥，我给你介绍一个地儿吧，那个地儿能稍微好考一些，就一条高速公路，叫 S-friendly。
一边大概几个小时啊
？1个小时。
1个小时。
我去那
好像我那个什么，
那块儿巨简单。
有没有中国人？
我没有中国人当考官，但是有中国人教练，特别好的，教练特别好。
我爸爸开车技术没问题，但是就是他听不懂人家的事的时候。
您考试的时候，就是你在做，他旁边只是在看，你只要把动作做明白。
他听不懂啊，他不说你换道，他不懂。
那完了，那就不行。
这多伦多有没有这种？
多伦多有吧？
多伦多应该有，但是多伦多复杂一些吧，车啊什么。
没事儿，你那什么就那几个步骤，你就让他学就行了。你像这 change lanes 是吧 ？turn left， 就那几个指令，然后什么那个 uphill parking， 就这点东西，他一说这个词儿，他一听懂就该干嘛干嘛，
也是
就行了的。
是拿到G2就已经不错了。
一共也没几个，就没有太多的什么，就让你
上次要让我就过了，
是
就侥幸人限速50，我说开60没事儿，不行，超速2%知道吗？
那不行，
你55没问题。
是的，
所以他下来他就说你什么都好，我都提醒你3次，你他妈还超速啊！对，那
那你为什么还超速？
我说，我啥也别说了。我心想着平时开70也没事儿，考试不行。
对，
你限速多少就多少。
就是考试。
对，那还特别友好，这儿限速50啊。我说，我说我开60应该没事儿。不行，你不能这么想，你就最多55可以。
是考试跟完全实操是两个概念，就是考试是一套嘛。然后我记得我上路的时候，我爸跟我说，把考试那些东西全忘掉，驾照里面全忘掉，你上路就行。
对，你像平时限50，那开70、80很正常，80有点过分了，就60、70吧。
其实就是在咱们这个全球里边来说，我觉得最好的还是英国的警察。英国的警察他拦下你之后，他会给你开罚单，他非常人性化的跟你说，你要喝醉了，你只要走直线，那就没事儿，你就走。然后看你如果要是吸麻了，那肯定不行。但是如果要是说就是醉酒开车，他稍微再开一面，这儿不行，肯定就吹。然后先问你说你喝没喝酒？喝了，好，去 park 一下，在旁边就开始给你吹。所以还是稍微
比较严格啊，对酒驾比较严格。
而且超速也很严格啊，我领了一张，本来是80迈的区域，我开了100、120，他说差点就给我吊销了，说看你第一次看，给你按90算。你给我交95刀，可以了，行，谢谢。
这还行。
要不然的话就直接车拖走。
对，
千万不要超速，就是你超速车拖走了，就相当于影响你的车，你这属于刑事。
对，他路上会写你超多少，他开始。
对，它有那个 third points，
对，
也是扣分。
对。但是80你开90多是没有问题的。
对，开100，90多
好像开始罚了。
对，100就开始罚。
对。
那天开的有点快了，就直接被那个叫什么省警给逮了。
他是现场看到你了是吗？
没有，是我超车的时候有人举报，他就是对向车过来，直接就给我拨过了。
警察是从对向过来的。
对。就是所以说他们这块有那种比较闲的人，他如果你要超速了，他会给你打电话，就记你车牌号打电话。
那他警察没有发现你他过来的时候你超速是也没事。
那不行，就是已经有人打电话，你这个肯定拖。就我一看没有那个摄像头嘛，有那个警察比较好。也就是它得是你工作的工收入。闯一次红灯好像是300多，我都看过。
天哪！
闯红灯确实有点危险，闯红灯比较危险，主要是。
看。
闯红灯主要是那个。
是现在其实还是。
主要是驾校这边他说那个黄灯你可以闯嘛。
我就老焦虑的是吧？
有时候着急，
去想它也没有。
对，我有约了10月10号。
对，
正好，肯定能过。
对，我交规各方面没问题，就是那个太大意了，
轻点踩油门去。
对，其实
平时开车有的时候也
我那车上它有显示，这目前路段限速多少？除了这种小区路段，只要在正常路段，都显示。其实有显示，我按那个开就行了。
是的。就是你要是去那个 S 国宾馆，正好你要是再往南边走，向西边走，就是那个 Tailoring 岛，你们就顺带还能玩一圈，再把驾照一考。他是在
最近约那个路考特别紧张，我看了，我天哪！
我考的时候就说就那谁说的那个地儿吧，我就去那儿了。
可以。
但是你练的话，你不在那儿练。
那个简单，你可以在这儿练，去那边考，那个太简单，就一条路。
肯定
就是像咱们仨不
你说那地儿叫啥？你给我写上。
是一个城市，是不是？
天啊，我说
我给你找。
是往哪儿走啊？
多远了？
往西走。
周末可以去玩一天，周六。
周末他那不行，就得周一到周五。
那就聊聊。
你自己打的可能上太难，然后你要是走的西更难。我刚不管了。
您看，这个是这个地方，大概咱们是在这儿嘛，在这儿考，然后这是曼尼托尼岛，这个岛上是台湾，这个是沙滩啊，这个是然后还有小瀑布啥。
哦，我搜到过这个地儿，我看了，我说这附近开车2个小时以内的，我去约一下。
对，
我约过这儿，但他这也约满了，
是吗？
不知道为什么，也提前不了，好像只能提前1天，我就没有换那个地址，就在萨德伯里考。我还跑周边北边的城市我都看了。
是吗？Garson也看了。都看了。
对，
找那个
就是那个，不过等着吧。
等嘛，对，就这样就不能喝个酒嘛，不能喝酒开车啊。
对，它有一些，如果你要是牵扯到开车的话，有的还要记牌。如果实在找不到文职的话，可以找一些 labor
小办啊什么的。
对。
找工作真不容易。
我想，实在不行去学一个那种叉车什么的。我操作过，我会，但是就是不熟练，因为我家里有那个，我自己能搞定。
那叉车那个您是咋学的？
我不知道啊，我不知道我能获得一个证。
好像是。我是看了一个特别好的伐木工，当木工。
哦，伐木工。
是木工。
他喜欢木工。
carpenter， 但是 carpenter 的话，我做比较粗糙型，太细致的那不好弄。
你就弄强了。
啊？
这样，我给你规划一个点啊。一开始你做那个
carpenter，
然后你慢慢一点点把基本点全点整熟了之后，就可以做一个建筑公司。
因为我是做城市的
啊，对，你看
我也不好。
你一开始8个月的话，
对，因为
出来是吗？对，出来之后当时是去当2到3年学生之后，是到80到100小时。
那确实
这个战线有点长。
对，而且他
当时学点的时候也是0岁。
对，也是40%。然后第1年是50%，第2年是60%，第3年是80%，到最后考出来那个证，就是
我看行。
是 carpenter，
然后我就搞这个建筑公司，因为啥呢？这块全是木头，都是木头，你要修啥的，所以木工拿大头。
哦，电工太难了。
对，电工那扣子，我操，这么长，这么厚一本书。
对，我一看，我说这电工刚学徒也太难了。啊，你除非是在国内就很懂这个，稍微用英语再学一学。carpenter 可能会好一些，门槛会低一些。
对，这个木您看，这个就还是不错。
而且跟我这个对合起来。
在建筑公司的话，就有 carpenter 证，需要一个 carpenter。
对。
电工就聘请呗。
那个也有，
就是请别的人做，请电工做。
对，但是如果要是说电工是这样的，你如果从中国拿过来一个媳妇儿，我如果要是没有证的电工，这可以工作。但是如果我是有证的电工，
我觉得应该是。
但是
这个东西容易就是如果烧坏了或者什么起火了，
有责任。
但是有一个问题是，如果没有证的这个电工给你干的这个活儿，会影响那个银行贷款吗？这房子？
这没事。
哦，就是你说后期安装那个。
就是后期的问题。然后是
2:30 already, yes. What time is it? Oh, okay, let's do it.
2:19.
Okay, thanks.
然后说的是焦虑有点好，他觉得焦虑没有用啊，他没不做这个可以，干别的工作，只能享受在这个
学费
或者是靠着这个
就是悲观，你就是悲观。张能，嗨，你好，请坐，随便坐。
但我觉得这个可能是最坏的一个结果， 知道一个节目，
对，
能介绍，
对，能介绍，那还不错。
对，然后就可以。我觉得放一些线上政策，就是
没有2点半才开始。
2点半开始正式开始啊。他那个 college 有没有那种就是兼职的，就是比方说晚上去上课，或者是周末去上课？
这个我们其实得去找具体的 college 去看他们的 policy。
对。
最近切
哦，他们这个有个专业就叫 carpenter。
对，那有的会开，有的不会开，你得找不同的 college 去合适。
对。萨德伯利有吗？
萨德伯利没有，但是萨德伯利往北边有一个，还南边不是往西面还是北边，还是那有个叫 Tennis。
哦，
中间有一个那个专门是教这种技能学生。
所以这种学校是叫什么？叫 trade school 是不是？
应该是，要不叫 trade school，要不叫 college。
叫 college 对。原来我一看他们的招工要求，那就 trade， 我以为说，哎呦，这还要学贸易吗？这跟贸易有什么关系啊？后来我一想，哦，不对，它是就是技工的意思。
技工的
啊。
加拿大这边专门帮
就是 mechanic 是吧？是这个意思吧？就是他们学8个月啊，或者是1年的这种短期的，能够拿一个那个职业证书的。
是的。
设计有吗？
是，这个我不清楚。
起不同的那个。
对，
最好的还是 C 的，好像康是吧？什么康斯坦那是是在安大略。
什么呀？学校名字吧？哦，康斯坦。
就是我们也会帮人去设定一些路法怎么走啊。
我们交流过。
你说那卡普那个开车要多久？
哎呀，这我不知道。
那知道是来干嘛的？
这个您得。
我不是你说那个城市叫什么？
然后突然就说，
你说那个学那个叫什么 miss 不是叫
tennis
在
tennis 中间，
然后
TIMM
就这个。
这是 tennis 的入场，您先来一个 direction。
焦虑到最有效的特焦虑。
这是咱们是北边。
北边正北。中间有一个地方。
对。具体是什么学校，这还真不清楚。因为就是有人跟我说了一下，
这往北走啊，这是。
那是大体位置机上。
Timis 要去 Timis 跟去多伦多差不多了，比多伦多要近300公里。
Timis 那边还有几个大雪场。
滑雪的是吗？对，因那边那个靠北了。
然后 Timis 也有那个
对，萨德伯利是不是也有？
是的，但是具体的还需要看。
现在 Timis 它是在运行是吗？
没有，因为现在 RIP 还是最终确定下来的那些小镇。
对。
有可能会这个
萨德伯利应该会有，因为人家来这儿宣布的说，这块做的非常好，非常成功，然后结果下一期告诉我，萨德伯利不是小镇，太扯了。
原来本来就是试点小镇，
对，是吧？加双语。
就是这个话就是本来也不是他成功人士。
那小镇的关键就是说，只要有固有
有很多东西就能吸引过来。
这个在1年以上。
后续我们也在看他那个正常的是说，具体的细则还没出来。
对，
就是应该会那个回归是吧？
是肯定会回归，就是已经宣布回归了，但大概我们预计是在11月份，他会把细则抛出来，让大家去看。
现在据说这些都暂停了，
对 ，RNIP 是暂停，但是 RCIP 是要推的，
还继续推是的。
因为加拿大这个政府是什么呢？就比如说你是临时的政策，你不能超过5个月。我拿这个疫苗之后发现了。那我告诉你我要离了，禁言了，其实就是把这个东西撤掉，换一个名儿，但是想要努力，大家 对，
很多交流反对，不是就这一个。
对，然后
就跟他们国内的高速公路老变名，接着收费，要不然
政策一样，否则你同样的名字去收，你就不好意思。
对，因为它有规定不能收过多少钱。
但是然而呢，估计也会有一些变化。
它政策细则会有变化，
是因为啥？
现在肯定越来越趋严嘛，不是那个工签不是现在也越来越 CLB7了嘛？
对，
它是肯定是会更规范，因为不可能让你就是那么轻而易举。
就是比如罗瓦的几个大学，
但是又会还有一个就是法语项目，
行，但是这个要想好，
就是
你这个
小镇，它一共是RCIP，还有一个是法语项目。那个
法语项目可能是不是针对魁北克的还是说
法语项目应该是针对双语，咱们这块也是说
那还吃不消，英语都没学明白了，还学法语。
有国外大学，
那可以，
您看 Scott 它就是双语项。
但是如果让你英语是 CLB7了，法语最低考到 CLB几就有移民分了。
所以
对，是小镇之前是这样。但如果你要是单走法语项目，那就是单是
也得到 CLB7。
就是他可能不要到 CLB7，可能到 CLB6多，那就可以放。
对。
现在细则还没出。
是的，到时候细则出了之后，会在群里或者什么给大家分享。现在这个真是移民越来越少。
保守党上台了，估计还要严。
这就不知道了，我也不敢说。
小土豆不是放了这么多人进来，现在民怨很大，对吧？那只有趋严的，不可能松的。
小镇，
主要是
Are you ready to get started?
What time is it? Oh, yeah.
27.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott, where are those people who sign up? And the other people who really want to come today couldn't make it because they all signed up.
I know.
So,
You're going to get somebody who agrees with you.
right? I mean,
There's also
come on.
an online meeting.
Yes, online.
It's disappointing.
Just live streaming.
Yes.
Are we good to go?
Almost.
Okay.
Are we good to go?
I think we're good to go.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Mastering the Art of Canadian Residence workshop. I'm absolutely thrilled to co-host this event with Scott from Sudbury Worker Center.
And I'm delighted to be co-hosting it with Sabrina
Yes, you
from
are.
H1 Voyagers. And we started this partnership. We've worked together on many different things for a long time, a few years now.
Yeah.
But this is just this past summer, we started doing these collaborative workshops together to help really provide more information and knowledge to people who are new to Canada and need to find work. So I've been learning a lot from Sabrina, so I'm excited to learn even more today as we continue on. And before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that most of us are newcomers to this land at one time or another. This is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people. Specifically, it's the shared territory of the Atikameksheng Anishinaabe and the Wahnapitei First Nations. This is what's called the Huron-Robinson Treaty area, which means that there have been agreements between the colonial, the federal and provincial governments with the Indigenous peoples in this area, but that doesn't always mean that we have respected those treaties. If you are a follower of the news, you may have been reading a lot recently about what are called the Robinson-Huron Treaty Annuities, where after many, many years, we're finally trying to address some of the imbalance that we've, and some of the broken laws that we've had in there. So just part of the many ways in which we all commit to become better.
Yes, and this is our organization, HOA Voyagers. We are a community-driven organization dedicated to support international students and newcomers and immigrants like you. We focus on providing career guidance, like what we're doing right now, and also we provide networking opportunities. And I could see that you guys had a good time talking to each other, so that's networking opportunities, and also cultural integration support, and many more catered services regarding your study, work life in Canada. And what is so special about us is that we are founded by international students and for international students and immigrants. We do have a mission. Our mission is to revolutionize the experience of international students and immigrants in Canada by 3 ways: by providing innovative educational support. For example, for some people who want to boost their PR score, they want to go for a different degree, another degree, and then we provide innovative education support by helping them find the right programs where they can actually boost their score. And also for those who want to come to Canada to study, to find the right programs in school, we help with that as well. And also we facilitate meaningful employment opportunities, which is, for example, we help you network to help you refer your resumes to recruiters, our network, so you get more chances of getting interviews. We also foster a vibrant and enjoyable lifestyle because everybody's here for a better life, so we want to help you achieve that.
And we are the Sudbury Workers Education and Advocacy Center. That's a whole lot to say. You can just call us the Sudbury Workers Center. We are a small nonprofit organization made up of workers, students, and community volunteers, all dedicated to improving the lives and the working conditions of those in low-waged, precarious, insecure employment. So you hear in both of our missions, we're not just interested in you as a worker, we're also interested in you as a person, as a human being. We understand that a work-life balance, that there's more to you than just your job, that a work-life balance is really important. And we also understand that we can't make things better for you in your job if we're not also trying to make things better in society in general. So what we do is we provide education on workplace rights, advocacy for fair labor practices to try and get both businesses to be better and to encourage governments to make stronger laws and to change laws to make them better. And if workers have need support in accessing services or filing claims or figuring out how to approach their boss about an issue, we can help support with all of those issues. And our services are free and confidential. Free being the important part.
Yes. Now let's understand the landscape. We have a reality check. Let's have a reality check. Not all resumes are the same. We're here for resumes, for resume building. Not all of them are the same. You need a resume that is both right for you, right for the job you're seeking, and also meets cultural expectations in Canada. That's what we're trying to do here. And I know there are a lot of challenges. I get you. That's why I encourage everyone to have a mindset shift. We encourage you to view all those challenges as opportunities, because each obstacle, as international students or immigrants or newcomers, you overcome makes you more resilient and adaptable. And these 2 qualities are highly valued by Canadian employers. I would argue by employers all over the world. These 2 qualities, resilient and adaptable.
And it's absolutely true. So we just underwent a job seeking application program. We're hiring at the Workers Center. We have a job offer out. I'm hoping they will accept it shortly. But yeah, I got a lot of resumes, some of which inspired me to look deeper, some of which did not. And I got cover letters. I always love a cover letter. And my favorite part about some of the cover letters was they were very upfront saying, listen, I may not have experience in the thing that you're looking for, but here's how my skills relate to that. Here's what else I'm going to bring to the table that makes you want to hire me, right? And so they highlighted in their cover letter the parts of the resume that they really needed me to look at to make me think twice about them in the job. So again, they didn't take it as a challenge that was going to make it hard for them to get the job. They took it as an opportunity to give me something new to think about, why they were a unique candidate that I might want. And I actually put an offer out to one of those kinds of conversations.
Who's our workshop for? Actually, our workshop is specifically tailored to you guys, international students in Canada and immigrants in Canada. We understand your challenges. I used to be an international student. I navigate through the whole thing myself. So I understand your challenges navigating the Canadian job market by yourself. That's why we are committed to making your job hunting journey a lot easier. First impressions count. Well, we encourage everyone to have good impressions on your potential employers for sure. So we want to encourage you to see your resume as a marketing tool. It is crucial to grab the employer's attention so that you can convince them you're the right fit. I don't know whether you guys know a ping pong player called Wang Chuxin. Yes, a ping pong player. I remember how he's a world champion. I remember how he got selected. He went to a room full of coaches, and then one coach who had the decision power look at this guy, Wang Chuxin, a little kid, because Wang Chuxin walked to the room like having this kind of poster, meaning that I got this, everything's good, and I got everything you might need. So that kind of attitude, that kind of impression, make the coach select him to be in the in their team, because that's impression. Because they didn't even try to see the kids' skills, so like ping pong skills, whatever, just by the kids' presence, being confident, made a strong impression on the coach. That's what the coach shows him. The same goes with a resume. A resume will be the first point of contact between you and the potential employers. That's why it's very important for you to pay attention to this, to see how you can make a strong impression on your potential employers. Yeah. And we want to stand out. Because, a lot of people want the same thing. They want to have a good resume that makes impressions on employers. However, there are so many resumes you want to stand out. And we're going to guide you through the whole journey, such as understanding the competitive job market in Canada. The job market right now is quite competitive, I would say, especially for newcomers, international students. That's why we need to write a really good Canadian resume, understand the characteristics of Canadian style resume, where we learn how to highlight your unique strengths and skills to make an impact. And there we are. Actually, there are 3 main types of resumes: chronological resume, functional resume, and hybrid resume. How many of you guys have a resume? Everybody. Everybody has a resume. That's good. Which type of resume do you have? Which type of resume? Do you know?
Actually,
You don't know there are different types. Okay, all right then. Let's just get into them. It's an overview. There's 3 types of resume. There's kind of sample of chronological. There's a sample of functional. There's a sample of hybrid. Each type serves a unique purpose, And we're gonna learn how to choose the right type for you based on your specific circumstances. And also, we're gonna show you examples of situations where each type will be the most effective. First, chronological resume. This kind of resume focuses on work history. Work history in reverse chronological order. You know, in reverse chronological order, it's like the most recent one, it will be on top of it. That's reverse chronological order. And this type of resume is ideal for those with a strong work history. If your work history is quite consistent, is strong, then this one is right for you, especially if you have a linear career progression, like, you know, junior and senior and that kind of progression. That would be really good. And for this type of resume, it is very important you can highlight your achievements for each role. This is one example of chronological resume. Currently, that is the most popular one in the market.
And it's the style that most people have,
Yeah.
but it's not always the best style for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sabrina said, if you've been working a lot, it makes sense.
Consistent.
If you've got a gap, or there might be reasons why somebody might ignore some of your work history because it's not here in Canada, for example, it may not be the best way to go about doing things.
Yes. Next, we're gonna cover functional resume. What is a functional resume? This type of resume focuses on skills and abilities rather than what we just talked about, chronological work history. Can you see that we have like a skill section, skill summary right here? So it's not like the traditional chronological resume. And this type of resume is ideal for those with gaps in their work history. You don't want to show all those gaps right there, and they might want to know what you did and this and that. So they normally, for those who have gaps in their work history, they normally go for this one. And also for those who have changed careers or with a diverse range of experiences across different fields, they want to highlight this skills section summary. So they don't want to use the chronological one. And for this type of resume, it is important to showcase your transferable skills. Like Scott, you just mentioned, okay, I might not have the technical background for this role. However, I have so many transferable skills that will make me a perfect candidate for this role, and that still counts. That's why Scott chose one of them with those transferable skills.
And it was a great example of somebody using a functional resume to their advantage. They were an international student. They had previously worked in their home country in work that would have been similar to the kind of job that I was asking them to do. But that wasn't the most recent job they had, because most recently they've been working pretty low-waged, unskilled jobs as they were also working getting their graduate work as a student here, right? And so they were able to, with a functional resume, say, here's my capabilities. And rather than putting their work in chronological order, it's like, and here's the relevant work experience for you, and here's some other work that I've done recently down below where I can be like, oh, right, they've been studying, they've got the skills, they've got all of these other things, and it's not like they haven't worked recently, it's just, it's not relevant, right? The fact that they've been delivering food, irrelevant to all of this, but shows me they want to work, right? So functional resume, perfect in that particular instance.
Absolutely. Now, let's move on to hybrid resume. Like what the name suggests, it's a combination of chronological and functional resume. It's a combination. And this type of resume focuses on a detailed skills section, similar to a functional resume we just mentioned. And also, it has a lengthy work experience section like chronological resume. It's a combination of both. And for this one, it's ideal for those who are highly trained job seekers with an already established work history, like chronological one, and also individuals with multiple career tracks. There's one example of a hybrid resume. This type of resume is getting increasingly popular nowadays. I would say normally people would like to go for chronological, what I see in the market, chronological and hybrid.
this one is getting more popular every day.
And having heard you just explain it, I think what I saw was a hybrid resume rather than a functional resume, really, because it was that combination of here's my skills and here's some work in a particular order.
Right. Now we've covered all three main resume types. We get to see what type could be the best for you. Now we can see, okay, how do we choose the right resume for me? Then there's like a roadmap. First, you need to understand your own career progression. You analyze your own work experience, your skills and qualifications, and you compare those to job requirements. So you identify the job requirements, and then based on all those factors, you choose the right resume format, be it chronological, functional, or hybrid. Once you've chosen your resume, you need to tailor your resume to each job you're applying for. Of course, before you submit your resume, you always need to review and edit.
Now, before we begin, and we're going to dive into the reasons for this later on, but there are certain things that we do not include in a resume in Canada, and some of that is things that that we would consider here in Canada to be personal information. So it is not usual or normal to include a photo of yourself with your resume, to mention your age, your marital status, your religion. You don't include your social insurance number. That is private information that the employer only needs should they choose to bring you into their company. We would make it fairly professional, so avoiding trying to make it look like something super sweet and full of rizz, as the kids say on Instagram. We don't use unprofessional email addresses, so if you have an email address that may involve silly things or other stuff, you perhaps don't use that in your professional one. I have several different email addresses that I use for several different purposes. One of them is very specifically for work-related things. You want to avoid generalities or sort of things like references available upon request. Make it very impersonal rather than me, I. Unless you've been asked to provide a salary expectation, leave that conversation for later. Okay? If they've asked for it, yes, you should include it because they've asked for it, but otherwise, that's a conversation for later. And you want to avoid including reasons for leaving other jobs or any reason that you might have a gap in your employment history. If there's a gap or other things that you want to do, choose a different format than chronological, choose functional or hybrid to address that kind of skill set that you want to put forward instead of giving excuses or reasons for not having something in your job.
I have one question that I heard from my professor. He told me maybe before we look for a job, we should have a Instagram or LinkedIn and to post some live some information about our life. That is personal information, however, I think so. And but in this slide, you told us don't give personal information to the employer. But however, the employer sometimes they will ask for some accounts. So for example, Instagram's account or LinkedIn account, should we keep them?
So what I would say, perhaps Sabrina will add to this, is the only social media account that you want to include in your resume should be LinkedIn, because it shows it's got room for all sorts of your professional attributes. Once you're past the initial stage of getting your resume in, if you're asked for an interview or something like that, at that point, maybe you wish to disclose some other elements of your social media life to the employer, but if they're specifically asking for that, there might be some flags that you want to think about there. And also, any employer can go and look for anybody, any employees, whether it's a current employee or a prospective employee, can go and look at your social media, right? So I can take your name and go look it up on Facebook or TikTok or anything else and potentially be able to find you. If you're posting stuff that is potentially going to get you not make an employer happy, you may wish to go through and clear that off of your social media life anyway, right? If you're constantly posting stuff on social media about how much you like to party on the weekend and how stupid and drunk you get and how pictures of you doing really inappropriate things, that might not look good for any potential employer, right? So you may already wish to scrub those things anyway. Anything you want to add to that, Sabrina?
Yes. Let's go back to this first for a little bit. For LinkedIn, you just mentioned. Actually, LinkedIn is the most powerful tool that you can ever expect in terms of looking for a job in North America in general. Because that's where you can actually connect with people directly. You can talk to them, you get to know their background, you can talk to your alumni, like your schoolmates. So that's the best way. For LinkedIn, normally it is expected to have your LinkedIn URL on top of your resume. The top of it is going to be your name, your email, your contact information. So on top of there, normally employers expect to see the URL link right there, your LinkedIn URL. So yeah, LinkedIn for sure. Actually, I have quite some conversations with recruiters and human resource managers about this thing, because the thing is, I said that, okay, on a resume, you cannot reveal your age, right? Okay, however, if you look at all this kind of work history from this year to that year, that year to that year, you know, graduation year, you can sort of, sort out, like, how old you are, sort of, that range will be there. Then what do we do about that? Is, well, it is what it is. We'll have to respect that. Yes, we can sort of, guess, but still, it is not. Normally, we don't expect age on a resume. It just don't do that. However, for Instagram, Facebook, all those kind of can be personal social media. But that one it depends. Like Scott said, if you have your personal social media accounts open to everyone, and then your potential employers can see you going all crazy sometimes, and they might not like you, because they expect. The thing is, why they go through your social media platforms? They want to understand you as who you are as a person as a whole. That's why they want to go through all those social media platforms. However, it can work against you or it can work for you. That's why we call it personal branding in job hunting. If you have Instagram and also Facebook and Twitter, all those things where you post your volunteer work here and there, your school activities, and what kind of achievements you have, and then you show all those kind of trophies here and there, pictures like that. That's actually work for you, because they see you as a person who you are. They feel like they can be more convinced that you can be a good employee based on who you are, instead of just getting to know you through interviews. Some people do this. They have two accounts for Instagrams. One would be open to everyone. That would be like, their public image. And the other one would be for their private one, only open to some certain people or friends. Facebook goes the same way. That's sometimes what people do. Yes.
Why I ask this question, because I don't want to post anything about my life. Is that okay? If I don't own any accounts, including Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, I don't have. It's true. I don't have. It's okay.
Yeah. Like I said, the only account that I would consider posting on a resume would be LinkedIn. For all the reasons Sabrina talked about. But the others I wouldn't necessarily put in unless I thought there was some reason that it would be relevant to the job, but otherwise I wouldn't.
Yes, relevant to the job. Great point. Like, for example, designers. they want to show their work.
Yeah.
And then
But there are other ways to do that as well. This might be a larger conversation for another thing, so let's move on here. I think you've got a preliminary answer to the question, and if you want to dive deeper, Sabrina and I will get into it later on. All right, so, oh no, this is still you.
Yeah, well, in order to craft an effective resume, we have 3 factors involved in this. The first one is tailoring, second ATS optimization, and the third one Canadian style formatting. We're gonna get into each one of them right now. For the first one, tailoring. How many of you guys have tailored your resume to a particular job you applied for before? You did? 1, 2? Okay, only 2? Okay, you haven't. You haven't done that. Okay. Not yet. All right. This is really crucial in terms of looking for a job. You have to customize your resume for each application you apply for. I know it's a lot of work. It sounds a lot of work, and it is a lot of work. However, you gotta do that to increase your chances of getting hired and also getting interviews. Second, you need to use keywords from the job description. You need to identify those keywords from the job description, and then you naturally incorporate them to your resume. You also need to highlight your skills and experiences most relevant to the position, because you have a lot of skills and experiences, but you want to highlight those that are most relevant to the position. Like you just mentioned that, fast food delivery might not be that relevant, so you don't have to include that one. And also, you need to adjust your professional summary to match the job requirements as well, the summary part. The second one is ATS strategies. How many of you guys have heard of such a term called ATS? No? Okay. This is also crucial. ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System. This is something a lot of Canadian employers use to screen resumes that get to human eyes. ATS is like you have to go through ATS, otherwise your resume wouldn't be able to end up on a recruiter's desk. You need to use simple and standard formatting. I see a lot of resumes with like tables and columns and colors and designs and graphics on the resume. Don't do that. You might not have a chance to go through this ATS system. And then you need to include keywords from the job posting, because the ATS will see how relevant your resume to the job. If it's not relevant, they don't have time for you. Bye-bye for now. And then also you need to use standard section headings like work experience, education, such sections very clearly laid out. And also you want to save your resume in a compatible file format like Docs or PDF. That's ATS. Let's move on to Canadian style formatting. Use a clean professional one, like these 2 are recommended. These fonts are recommended. And also, like I just mentioned, you need to keep your resume to 1 to 2 pages maximum. No one has that much time to read through everything. Just relevant ones, 1 to 2 pages should be good enough. And you try to use Canadian spelling, like color instead of color. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and also, like here, we just mentioned that include your LinkedIn profile URL if it's up to date and professional.
All right, so now we're going to talk about crafting your effective resume, and we're going to look at each of the sort of kinds of resumes, starting with the chronological one. And there's 8 sort of points that we need to look at here. What's the contact information? How does the professional summary or objective look? Your work experience, including achievements, education, certifications, skills, certifications, which is repeated in there, volunteer work and extracurricular activities, especially if they're relevant to the job that you're looking at. And then maybe there's a need to add some additional sections. So we'll dive into each of those here. So the contact information needs to be your full name. If you have a nickname or a name that you'd like to be called, you can include that there as well. It needs to have your city and province. You don't need to put your mailing address necessarily on that resume, but you do need to have the city and province. So I know, am I looking at somebody that's here or that is hoping to work, remotely or hybrid, or somebody that I may need to then transport here. Your phone number, very important, so that I can call you and invite you to an interview, as well as your professional email address. And if you have your LinkedIn profile that is professional and up to date, you want to include that. So that's right at the top of the resume, so that I can immediately be like, who's this person? How do I get in touch with them, right? Boom, visual, easy to see. Like Sabrina said, yes, all of those fancy fonts and colors and little boxes and all of that, they look really, really great. But if it makes it hard for me to quickly find the information I need, or if I'm not just looking at it visually, but I'm feeding it into a machine and I want the machine to sort this stuff quickly for me, that can't be there, right? So now, right at the top as well, I want to see, what are you looking for professionally? What are your goals? What are you hoping to do? And that's just 2 or 3 sentences that just say, hey, this is who I am and what I want to do in the workplace. You want to make that using action words, so that you're not saying, I would like to one day in the future, or I'm seeking, actively looking for, right? Like I'm doing, I'm engaged in, right? Like stuff that is active and not things that are very passive. And that can be very difficult for people of certain cultures, because sometimes our cultural way of speaking is to be sort of give more space there. But in Canadian resumes, we expect a certain level of go-getter attitude there. So we want to have those action verbs in there. And yes, I want to know what you want to do in general, but how is working with me going to get you to that thing, right? How is our collaboration, if we were to work together, going to bring both these things together, right? So I want to rise to the top of sales in my position, and I know I can bring that to you because I have these amazing skills that you're looking for. All active, my career goals, why it works for you, what I'm going to do for you, all active. All make sense?
Yep.
And again, yes, the resume is about you, but you still need to make it also a little bit about the employer there, right? So now your work experience. In the chronological job application, we're starting with our most recent job right at the top, and then next recent job, the next recent job, the next recent job, all the way down. You may decide only to go back a few years. You don't have to. Again, we want the resume to be 2 or 3 years. If I were to do all of my jobs, it would start to be a 4 or 5 page resume. And who cares that when I was 12 years old, I worked as a babysitter, right? Like nobody cares anymore, right? So doesn't matter, doesn't need to be included. As you're doing that, you need to include the name of the company, the title that you had at that job, right? So sure, I can say I worked for Microsoft, but if I was a janitor at Microsoft, it's not all that useful for potentially, right? So I need to include the job title that I had and the dates of employment, which might be to present, right? If you already are working, but you're looking for a new job, you're going to list, I started on this day, I'm still there, right? And if you've got 2 jobs, 2 part-time jobs, and you're looking for a full-time job, then you're going to have 2 jobs. The important one, the one that most matches your job skills that you're looking for top, and they're both going to be started this date to present because you're still working, right? You can use bullet points within there. So lead salesperson, boom, what were my jobs? Calling clients, assigning clients to other sales associates, ensuring that all sales things were tracked or done, like whatever the jobs were. Not every single thing you did, but the key ones, especially that relate to the job that you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
So if there's something that relates to the job that you're looking for, you're like, hey, look, I'm doing that at this job. Boom, right? If you've got great achievements that you can put there, you want to quantify those. Increase sales by 20%. Boom, right? You're looking for somebody to increase sales. Hey, this job, I increased sales 20% over last year. Boom, right there in my resume, right? And again, we want all of this to be dynamic, active. We want to use action words. So I did, I created, I succeeded in, all of those action words. Now when it comes to our education underneath our work experience, we're again doing it in chronological order. So we're not starting, I was in kindergarten at this age. No, I just completed my PhD, my master's degree, my college certificate in whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, you want to include the institution name, the degree you trained, and the date that you graduated, or if you're applying for a job before you have completed graduating, but you're anticipating graduating soon, indicate the date of anticipated graduation. So I'm just completing this. I will be completed by December 2024, right? So that lets me know, great. Maybe they're ready to start now. Maybe they're ready to start in the new year. There's a conversation for me to have with them. You can include any relevant coursework or academic achievements, your GPA, if it's particularly impressive, especially where any of that might relate specifically to the job that you're looking for, right? So if the job is about computer programming, there's no point me saying, I got a GPA of 5.0 in my history class. That doesn't matter. It's not relevant to this particular, right? Mm-hmm. Anything you want to add, Sabrina?
Is scholarship available to be shown in the resume?
That you achieved a scholarship can be relevant, yes, absolutely, especially if it is a high-profile scholarship. Yeah, if it's a high-profile scholarship that has a big name to attached to it, that's for a significant amount of money, it's probably worthwhile mentioning it, because it probably then is like, oh, only really smart people get this scholarship, therefore I know this person is really smart that they got it, right?
Yeah.
In your skills, you want to list any relevant both hard and soft skills, all right? So hard skills are easy to quantify. Hey, you're looking for a computer programmer. I've got computer programming skills. I speak this language, this language, this language, this language, and I'm certified, blah, 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 right? The soft skills, you're also looking for somebody to program video games. I'm also a creative RPG player. I do storytelling, and I'm a published author, right? Ooh, those are some soft skills that also are relevant to video game design and computer programming. That is an additional great skill to put in there. When you're putting your skills down, you need to be honest about your proficiency levels, all right? I used to work in theater, film, and television, and one of the skills that I have is I can do some juggling, but I can only do 3-ball juggling and 3-club juggling. If you're looking for somebody that's going to do, like, so I say I can juggle, right? But I also say 3-ball juggling. I don't want to give the impression that you can hire me and I'm going to suddenly be like juggling a whole bunch of chainsaws or 5 clubs or doing things like that. I make it very clear, this is my simple skill level. I can do that, right? So make sure you are honest about how good you are with something so that you're not selling yourself as something that you're not, all right? And consider grouping the skills appropriately so that they are there all together in one area. Finally, many of us get all sorts of different certifications for all sorts of different things. Perhaps you've been certified for first aid, right? Great, put that down. That can be particularly important for somebody. Does the job say that you need to travel and you've got a driver's license? Hey, I've got a driver's license, right? And if you've got a driver's license that allows you to operate more than one particular kind of vehicle, maybe you want to put that down just in case it becomes relevant, right? So put any of those professional certifications, micro-credentials, any of those kinds of things that you have obtained a particular certification through, human resources has certification processes, put that down. Even if it's not directly relevant for the job, but it's adjacent, you want to include it.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, any volunteer work or extracurricular activities that you do, especially if they provide some additional skills or relevance to the work experience, right? So, hey, I volunteer with this particular organization, and specifically, I help them in their, I'm applying for a design job, and I specifically help them with their social media outreach and capacity. It's like, ooh, great. It's relevant to the skill, and it shows that they are connected to the community. And again, with your volunteering work, list the organizations, the capacity that you do, and any key things there. And then maybe you've been awarded specific awards or honors in your lifetime, right? Perhaps you were elected the chair of a student union at your college or university. That might be very useful to put down there. Any achievements that you achieved at school or outside of the school, awards for sales achievements or other things. Perhaps you volunteered with an organization and they gave you a certificate of recognition. You want to put that down. It shows that, yes, not only do I volunteer, but I was thought highly of by that volunteer organization because of all of the extra stuff that I did, right? If you're a member of a professional association, put that in. And it can be very useful to include all of the languages that you speak. You never know, it may be relevant to any particular organization, but even if they haven't specifically said, hey, we're looking for people who have multiple languages, that may be useful information. For me, the organization that we work with all sorts of different people from different cultures. If you can speak multiple languages, I want to know that's going to be a good thing for my organization.
Right.
And I think that covers pretty much all of the major things that you want to do. So before you send that resume out, you've got all that information, in your contact information, your profile, you've done the work, chronological work, you've done your education, then you've filled in all those other sections. You want to make sure that you've reviewed it for spelling and grammar errors, that the formatting is consistent, and don't be shy. Get somebody to take a look at your resume, a friend, a colleague, a mentor, anybody else. It's easier for somebody else to see the things that you're skipping over than it is for you, right? You've been staring at this thing for 3 hours already. Of course it looks fine to you. Somebody else notices that thing that your eye has been glazing over, right? So proofread and edit before you're done.
Yes. In order to craft an effective resume, we also need to have a good understanding of the overarching strategies for creating a resume that aligns with Canadian expectations and increases your chance of landing a job. There are 3 points we need to pay attention to. The first one is keywords integration. Second, formatting and design considerations. And 3, customizing for different job applications. We're going to get into each one of them right now. For keywords integration, when you guys tailor your resume to a particular job, have you tried to find or identify keywords from job descriptions? Have you? No, you haven't. Okay. It's important to identify those key terms and phrases from the job description, because job description is your friend. They tell you what they are looking for. You don't want to ignore it. You love it because they're telling you what I need, what I'm looking for, and you do whatever it takes to make you look like you're that person. You're the right fit. So you naturally, first you identify, and then you naturally make it natural, incorporate these keywords. You don't want to put all of them in one section. So you want to naturally incorporate all across or throughout the resume. And also you use industry-specific terminology relevant to the position. I've noticed that, for example, from China, for the same industry, you have terminologies that are very different from what they're called here in Canada. So you need to find out in this particular industry, what are those industry specific terminologies that you want to use. And also, you want to ensure a balance between keyword usage and readability. You don't want it to look very crowded. You want to leave some blanks here and there. So ensure a balance, that's important. And also please consider creating a core competencies or key skills section to highlight important keywords. That's keywords integration. Formatting design considerations, we briefly mentioned already. Use a clean, professional, and these two fonts are recommended, and also maintain consistent formatting throughout. Same font size for all headings, same. And also, you want to use your space effectively to improve readability. Stick to a simple professional color scheme, primarily black and white. Our resume, a lot of people make it like colorful, blue, white, this and that, but I recommend black and white, make it very clear. And also you wanna be sure your resume is easily skimmable with clear section headings, like this is education, that is work experience, that is volunteer, different sections, make that very clear. And you please use bullet points for listing skills or job responsibilities, that. All the points right there. And then, like we mentioned earlier, you want to save your resume in these two formats. Customize for different job applications. Like I mentioned earlier, you need to customize your resume for different job applications. For each one, you have to customize your resume for. But before that, we encourage you to create a master resume with all your experiences and skills. What's master? We just mentioned that we want to keep our resume within 1 or 2 pages long, but for some people, they have a lot of experiences, be volunteer, be work, be whatever. It can be 3 pages, 4 pages, 5 pages, who knows? You include everything that you've done before, skills, qualifications, whatever. You put it in one big master resume. It can be 3, 4, or 5 pages, doesn't matter. And then for each application, you select the most relevant information from your master resume. You do some choosing, you do some picking, and you pick the most relevant information, and then adjust your professional summary to align with each specific job, the summary part right there. And then you reorder your skill list. You have a skill section, and then you reorder it to prioritize those most relevant to the position. Okay, the most relevant will be the top or the first. It depends on how I arrange it. And then you need to modify your job descriptions to emphasize experiences most applicable to the role. And then last, you need to consider creating different versions of your resume for different types of positions or industries. For example, if you apply for, if you graduate from business degree and then you apply for marketing roles, you also apply for sales roles that can be different. And then you might want to have 2 versions of resumes that can highlight different aspects of you. Something to remember, always remember these when crafting a resume. 1 to 2 pages long, we mentioned it, and clean professional font, we mentioned it, use Canadian spelling, we mentioned it, and also don't include personal information like age, marital status. And then, this is very important, please quantify achievements whenever possible. Even though there could be work that is hard for you to quantify, but this is sort of expected, especially in a chronological resume. Always want people to know, like, how well you did. If you say you took math before, you took Chinese before, you took, whatever subject before, and people need to know how much score you got to know how well you did. Same goes with a job. Okay, you did this, you did that, you did so many jobs. Okay, all right, I know you did that, but how well you did? Are you qualified for what I'm looking for? Is the key. That's why this is extremely important for each job. I strongly encourage you to summarize some achievements under it. And always be honest and accurate in your resume. Always be honest and accurate in your resume. Make everything kind of accurate. For example, your work history would be totally aligned with your LinkedIn profile. You cannot say from this year to this year on your LinkedIn and then on your actual resume as different dates. They don't add up. takeaways. So we've learned something today, huh? so it's always good to have something to take with you. Today's takeaways, 4 sessions. We all know a well-crafted resume is your ticket to landing that dream job in Canada. So resume is extremely important. Like Wang Zhuxin, the way he showed himself, got the attention of the coach. Like your resume should do the same, grab the attention of employers. And choose the right format based on your own work experience, whether there are gaps or not, and what you want to showcase. You choose the right format for you, be it chronological, functional, hybrid. This can help you showcase your skills and experiences effectively. You choose the right one for you. And then tailoring a resume, we just also covered this. And for each job application, you need to tailor a resume to make a lasting impression to the potential employers. And then the last one, continuous learning and improvement. You need to keep updating and improving your resume. For example, you have some updated work experience or a volunteer experience, you want to update there right there. As you gain more skills, experiences, you update it all the time, constantly.
So we said, hey, you're not going to include some of that personal information in your resume, things like your age, your marital status, your religion, and those kinds of things. And I said we're going to talk about why later on, and now that later on is here. So we're going to talk about human rights in the workplace, all right? So Canada wants to be a country that treats everybody equally and treats everybody fairly. And our Charter of Rights and Freedoms at the federal level and the Ontario Human Rights Code at the provincial level are the laws that protect people from being discriminated against on the basis of what are called personal characteristics, all right? And so we acknowledge that here in Canada, we haven't always treated people equally. There's always work to be done to be able to treat people equally. So for example, here in Canada, like in many places in the world, we haven't always treated women the same as we've treated men. We didn't allow women to be employed in the workplace for many, many years. We've had issues with race, with other things. And we want to eliminate any discrimination that can happen for this. And so the Ontario Human Rights Code protects people in 5 social areas, including employment, on these 17 grounds, which include, obviously these aren't all 17, age, ancestry, color, race, citizenship, ethnic origin, place of origin, creed, disability, family status and marital status, which includes being single, sex, which includes pregnancy and breastfeeding, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression. When it comes to housing, whether or not you receive public assistance, and employment, whether or not you've got a record of offenses. And so this means that an employer is not legally allowed to ask you how old you are, if you're married, if you have any disabilities during the hiring process. Because if they did, they might be excluding you from employment based on your answer, right? So let's say I know that my job is going to require that you do a lot of work, after hours, evenings, and weekends, that it's sort of like not necessarily just a 9 to 5 job, but there's going to be stuff that you're going to have to do outside of that. And yes, I'm going to pay you for all of that additional work, but I'm going to need you to work after those hours. And maybe I think to myself, somebody that's married with kids, they won't be able to do that. So if they answer they're married, I'm just not going to hire them because, they won't be able to do the things that I want them to do. So now I'm discriminating against somebody on the basis of their marital function, right? But it could be that your spouse doesn't work, right? And they're perfectly able to take care of the children at all times. And this wouldn't actually be a barrier for you, right? And so what I can ask is, hey, this job requires that you be available on evenings and weekends. Is that going to be a problem? And now you have the opportunity to say yes or no based on your personal situation, right? Which may or may not have anything to do with your marital status or whether you have kids or any of those other things, right? Mm-hmm. So the law is there to try and encourage employers to think not, I'm going to say it's because of this factor that somebody would or wouldn't be a good fit, but to actually ask the questions that might be important around that. And so you have rights even during the thank you, even during the employment, the interview and the employment process, you have rights, okay? Your employer shouldn't be asking you if you have any disabilities. What they can be asking you is, do you have any accommodation needs during the interview process, right? So can I make this easier for you in some way, shape, or form? That is perfectly permissible, but all of those other things aren't permissible. It's also interesting to note that not having Canadian experience would be a discriminatory reason for an employer not to hire you, all right? They shouldn't need Canadian experience explicitly in order for you to get a job. There's nothing about Canadian experience that is different from experience from China or from Nigeria or from Honduras or from Chile or from India or Pakistan. Experience is experience, right? So Canadian experience shouldn't be an issue. Having an accent shouldn't be an issue, all right? There may be legitimate language requirements for a job, all right? There may be. If there are legitimate language requirements for a job, they should say, for this job, you need to be fluent in English, and we would expect an equivalency of, and then they would list a standard that is recognized by government or industry, right? So for example, you may already have needed to have passed a language test to get your international student, right? And you needed to achieve a particular qualification for that in order to be accepted, right? Or to get your work permit for the job that you applied for that work permit, you may have already had to have passed a language test with a particular equivalency. So if a job wants to say, hey, we need a language standard, they should publish what the equivalency is so that you have the opportunity to provide them with that certification, right? Otherwise, there's a potential that they're just being discriminatory. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. It's also important to know that you need to be paid for doing work, all right? Sometimes, especially in certain industries, there's been a trend towards having what's called the working interview, all right? Where, for example, you're applying for a job as a dishwasher, and the employer says, listen, why don't you come in, work Friday night between this hour and this hour, it's our busiest time. If you can handle that workload, we'll call that your interview, and if you can do that in a way that's reasonable, after that I'll hire you. Well, no. What they're saying is come work for me for free, and if I like what you do, then I'll pay you. That's not allowed. If you're doing the work, they have to pay you, okay? Now, that is not the same as an employer saying, hey, we've done an interview, we've liked what you've done, we'd like you to do this skills assessment to make sure that you've got the skills that we need for this job, right? So here's a couple of different scenarios. We'd like you to sort of answer these scenarios, fill in this chart, do this kind of a thing. A skills assessment can be a legitimate part of a job application, but it should be very clear that it's not actually doing work for the company. So for example, the job that we were just hiring for example, I was like, here's the skills assessment, but it was very clear. It's like, this is a ridiculous example of the kind of thing that you might need to do for me. But it's clear that in fulfilling this example, you're not going to be doing any work that I could legitimately use because this is a ridiculous scenario, right? So it was very clear that, like, yes, I'm asking you to demonstrate that you've got some skills and that's going to take some time for you, but I'm not getting free labor out of you because I'm not going to be able to use the work that you've done to advance my work. Does that make sense?
Yes.
There's a small, and I hope it's a growing trend among decent work providers to actually pay you for a skills assessment. So we actually did that. We offered an honorarium to the people who were saying, like, this could take you up to 4 hours, so I'm going to give you some money for that, right? Because I recognize that you're going to spend some time to try and do that for me. That's because I have a little bit of luxury to do that, and I think it's the right thing to do. Not everybody does it, but sometimes you could be compensated for a skills assessment. If you're looking at a skills assessment and you think this is really going to take me a ridiculous amount of time, you may wish to have some gentle conversation with the employer around that. But real talk, will that make them think less of you? Maybe, right? Maybe. But on the other hand, if it really is a huge amount of work that they're asking you to do, maybe is that a flag about the kind of employer they're going to be as well? And is that a flag for you in thinking about whether you want the job, right? So things to think about in that. A skills assessment shouldn't take, huge amounts of time, and it shouldn't clearly look like work for the company. Any questions around any of that?
How can I distinguish the working interview or the pressure test that's the employer taken to me? For example, when he asked me to do some tough job, he will say that he just tested me, the pressure, the resilience of me that can be suitable for the job.
Yeah, and there isn't any sort of very clear line that says this is work, this is an interview. But if you feel like you're giving the company something for free, it's probably work, right? And the skills assessment, again, should test your skills, including the pressure skills, but not necessarily be looking like, oh, I'm actually writing a sales pitch for them for a new product that I know that they're about to market, right? Like if they're saying, hey, we've got this new product that we're bringing to market, how would you pitch that as a sales pitch, as your skills assessment? Well, how are you going to know that they're not going to just be like, we're not hiring you, but what a great sales pitch. Let's do that one, right? So there's not any clear line that says it, but mostly we kind of know, right?
Sense.
Yeah, you get a sense. And so if you're getting that sense, that can be a clue for you about the kind of employer it might be, or a reason to have a gentle conversation with the employer about that. If you want to talk about it with somebody, you can give us a call at the Sudbury Worker Center. Our services are free. I'm happy to chat with you about that. And on that, I will tell you that you might get what I call the hustle test. All right? And the hustle test, especially for like sales or things like that, here's what's going to happen. You're going to set up an interview with your employer at a particular date down the road, okay? I'd love to see you Friday. And then all of a sudden you're going to get a call or an email that says, listen, something's come up on Friday, but I could do this afternoon at 2:00. Can you do that? That's a hustle test, right? Like they're already testing you to be like, hey, this job, things change a lot. Can they adapt, right? So if that happens, that might be the hustle test. They might be seeing like, are they going to be able to like adapt, hustle, get this thing going in order to make the sale, in order to do the thing. So just be aware of that. Yeah.
We mentioned adaptability.
Exactly, adaptability. But yeah, I don't like the hustle test personally, but I've had it happen to me a couple of times, and you're just like, do I actually want to, like, in one case, I was like, I've got a dentist appointment booked. So do I rebook my dentist appointment for later on, knowing that this is just a hustle test? Or do I try and say, hey, I've got a dentist booking, knowing that it might impact whether or not I'm going to get the job, right? How much do I want this job? Not very much. I can't do it. I've got a dentist test,
Right.
a dentist appointment.
Right.
There we go. Any other questions about this? It was a good question. I wish I could give you a clear answer, but it's a gray area, right? But you will know if you're being taken advantage of, and that's always a big flag. All right.
Whew. Conclusion, finally. To conclude, we have a few points to remember, I believe. Your key to success, okay? So you want to successful, you need to remember those things. Remember, your resume is your personal marketing tool. That's how you market yourself. And also, you need to tailor it, we mentioned that, to showcase your relevant skills, experiences, and ATS, optimize for it, and also optimize it for human readers as well. And you want to focus on achievements and quantifiable results. Always do that and keep it concise, professional, and free from personal information. And lastly, let's remember, we need to continuously update our resume as we gain new skills and experiences. Those are things to take away.
And we're here for you. So if you've got questions about your rights in the workplace, if you've got questions about what's happening, our services are free at the Sudbury Workers Center. You can pick up our pamphlet at the back of the room there. Our services are free, they're confidential, we'd love to answer them. And I'm always sending people over to Sabrina and the team at HY Voyagers who need the kind of services that she can do to help you find that dream job. So this is our contact information.
You might want to take a picture.
Take a picture. It's also on our pamphlets at the back of the room. And then, even more important, HY Voyager's contact information.
The most important one. How can I help you? We can help you with your career boost, standout resumes, cover letters, polished LinkedIn profiles we just mentioned, and interview confidence training and job search strategy. That's regarding job coaching, and also will help you find your dream job and career, major, and also will help you realize your Canadian dream by helping with your PR pathway planning, and also your immigration guidance as well. Right now, a lot of people are starting to learn French in order to boost their score for PR. So we offer French training as well. Not me, I don't speak French, but like there are people who are pretty good at teach you French. And also a lot of people are doing different English tests as well. Again, in order to boost their PR application scores. We can help you with that as well. We also help you with smooth landing and personal support, job application tailoring, and career planning. All those things, pretty much everything you can think of, we can help you. And this is our contact information. We're everywhere. This is our Western social media. This is our Chinese social media. We have 4 big groups where we accommodate everyone from all different kind of parts of the world. You can welcome to join our family where we share a lot of resources with everyone. We believe that will be very beneficial for you, so you might want to take a picture.
Yeah.
Okay, all right then. Thank you.
So thank you very much. We hope that you found this useful, that you got some knowledge, give yourself a little bit of confidence. You can do this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask everybody, do you happen to know this person? This one. This is our mascot, it's our panda. Can you see our logo right here? Do you think this person looks a bit familiar to you?
Looks like Charlie Brown, doesn't it?
No, you don't know? No, nobody knows? We have no winner today? Yeah, we got a winner.
Yeah.
This is
Is he a
Scott.
monk?
No.
No.
Scott.
Oh.
This is our designer.
Supposed to be me. Right here.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
A cartoon image.
Yes, that's a cartoon image.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah,
Does he look good?
Great.
Good.
Great.
Looks good. That's good. Yes, we want to thank you guys so very much for coming, because you guys are absolutely, in my opinion, winners, because we have a lot of people sign up. We don't have rooms for registration anymore, but you guys showed up, and other people are like, didn't show up. That's why I feel like actions speak louder than words. Always do it, and then as long as you keep consistent, keep striving for it, you get there. You have to be there already. We are your champions. We're gonna help you with whatever you need. Okay? Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And first, can we take a picture together, please?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Where should we take a picture?
Here. Come here, please, everybody. Last time we worked. We want that one, please, Classy. We want that.
This one?
Thank you for. We want Scott as well. Right?
Okay.
Yes, we want.
Come on,
Scott
guys.
as well.
Squeeze a little bit.
Yes, we want Scott.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Come on, no.
Closer?
Closer, come on.
Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, smell. Yes, great. And vertical one, 3 and 2, 1. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Good. Glad you enjoyed
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Great appreciation.
Thank you. Thank you.
谢谢陈思。
OK，辛苦了。OK，希望能对你们有所帮助。非常精彩。
非常好。